we are ethical hackers.
You are trying to exploit humans.
You can get into anything, basically.
The HUD, turn off the lights and do and access granted.
So you also do this physical penetration testing. I suppose that's something that you can't really talk about.
No.
All right, welcome everyone to the next latest episode of Unlock 403, brought to you by ESA, where we talk about cybersecurity, IT, and everything that has to do with it in the front end and the back end. Today, we have an exciting topic, which is pen testing. This is something that happens in every single cybersecurity company and many, many more, and it's extremely important. And to talk to me about its importance, I have two of our very own pen testers here with me, Tomasz and Pavel. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Great. So let's get into it. I am very new to pen testing, ethical hacking. So what exactly is it that you do?
So basically, the ethical hacking is more of an umbrella term for many different types of security testing. Penetration testing is just one of the subtopics of ethical hacking. We are officially called penetration testers, but in reality, we are ethical hackers because we also do other types of security assessments, phishing simulations, also called social engineering, some sort of technical audits or audits in general, compliance. We can verify companies' compliance towards some standards or something like this, for example. The penetration testing is basically we simulate an attacker. We pretend to be the bad guy. The only difference between us and the real hacker is that we are authorized by the company to perform the test or perform the assessment. So we basically use the same tools, we use the same techniques, and we try to exploit or attack the company, either their applications, servers, whatever, and we try to find the vulnerabilities. The only difference between us and the hacker is that we are authorized to do it, and we also, the vulnerabilities that we found are also reported to the company immediately so that they can fix them. The hacker would use them for his own good, for example. They would try to get money or something like that.
It sounds like a pretty vital role in cybersecurity in general.
Yeah, it is absolutely important because if it will not be us that found some kind of vulnerability or something in your system or in customer system, then it will be the, let's call him the evil hacker or someone who can misuse it. So yeah, it is absolutely important, I think.
When you say you have permission to do it, is it that they give you permission for a specific app, a specific tool, specific service, or do you just say, do whatever you want?
It depends on a case, but in one case we have a specific scope, very, very, very small scope for one address or one application or something, but it can be also one whole network or the whole company. So it really depends. But we have this scope, and this scope must be handled by us very strictly because we don't want to touch something what the customer don't want us to touch. And
I suppose that's something that you can't really talk about.
In penetration testing or ethical hacking, there is not much thing what we can talk about because we work for external customers, also for ESET, but mainly for external customers, and all these things are very critical for them. And if something like this leaks, then
we are bound by confidentiality and by NDAs, so we cannot talk or disclose vulnerabilities if we find them.
Okay, so if I ask you any questions and you can't tell me, just tell me that you can't.
we will try.
We can speak in general terms, but we cannot be very specific.
Yeah, okay. I will not ask you about a specific client. Cool. What does a typical day look for you? Like you come to work and you get a task, not go to this company physically, but test this company, and then you test it for a day, or what does it look like?
Yeah, and this is where the people usually think absolutely differently than us.
You don't wear a
Yeah.
hoodie in the dark room?
We have hoodies, but
At least that.
there is no this element that we sit down, put the hoodie, turn off the lights, and do the keyboard and access granted, and so it's really
Doesn't work like in the movies?
No, it doesn't, really doesn't. No. You can compare it to standard developer coder, which just is writing the code, and we are just not writing the code. We are checking this code, and we are checking the system. So it's
How is it different? Because when you say check in the code, because I spoke to a few of our researchers, and what they say usually is that they reverse the code almost to find the malware in it or to find the faulty bits. Is that what you do as well, or do you just analyze? Do you analyze it rather than?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes we do both. We can either read the original source code if the client wants, or in many times if we have access to some sort of application that's written in language that allows this, we can try to reverse the code to find some vulnerabilities if the client wants that, or if we have the time for it. Also, the source code is usually very confidential and very sensitive to the customer, and they don't really want to provide that basically to anyone, since we are a third
Right.
party. Even if we have NDAs, it's still usually not possible to provide us with the source code.
You spoke mostly about external, right, pen testing, what you do for our clients, but you test us quite often, and
Yeah.
you sometimes catch us from time to time. So tell us, how is that different?
Yeah, I mean, in this term ethical hacking, you have this technical part and non-technical part, and this non-technical part can be social engineering. You are trying to exploit the humans, so their thinking, maybe their kindness. So you are trying to make them think that what you want them to do is the right way, or is what they need to do, and then you can misuse it. So in the end, it can be that he just give you access to their computer, or maybe just send you some kind of information, but you use them, so you use people.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible that people, but you also do it, so it's horrible that you do it.
But it is also horrible for us to do it
We have
sometimes.
good
Is it?
intentions, at least.
Yeah.
How is it horrible for you to do it? You prank people for a living.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy it. I don't
There
know
you
what,
go.
I don't know
I would
what he's
enjoy
talking
it.
about.
Yeah, I mean, if you are doing some kind of, let's say, okay, in social engineering, you can use more techniques. For example, phishing, spear phishing, vishing. And so, phishing, you just send an email. It's you are the anonymous one there, and nobody see you. And but there are these other techniques. Yeah, for example, vishing, where you must call someone. You must change the person. You must change the style. How you talk and something. You must be in your scenario. In many times they just want to help you, or they just want to, and you must. It's not that easy, but
Right.
but
when
yeah,
you're a
it-
good
it-
person, it's not easy.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're not a good person then,
okay.
because you enjoy
I
it.
only enjoy the email part. I don't
Ah,
really
okay.
like the phone calls. I can't do the phone calls because you really need to be in the character. Like you can't laugh, you can't do anything. You must be very persuasive and very official. Like you can't pretend. You are pretending to be someone else, basically, which
Yeah.
is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Then there's another technique what is also included in the social engineering. And this is this physical penetration test when you are trying to get to some kind of building or space where you don't have or should not have access, and there
I
the
heard
fun
about
begins.
this.
Yeah.
I heard about this. Is it true that the easiest way to get into a company is to carry a banana and pretend you belong there?
I never heard about banana, but if you have the ladder, then it
A
can
ladder,
be-
okay.
Yeah,
I heard about a box or a ladder or something in your
Yeah.
hand, so you cannot use your little token to get in. Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard about that. Does it really work?
It does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you done that yourself?
Not personally, but few members of our team use this technique.
So you also do this physical penetration testing as well?
Yes, it's
Yes.
one of our services what we are trying to provide.
So this might be a good time to switch to YouTube for those of you who are just listening. I see you brought some devices. Can you tell me what those are and what are you going to show us?
So we have multiple devices here. So first of all, we have like a home security system. This is like a cheap version of security system for homes. This is like the main unit. So it has a keypad. It can be locked, unlocked. And it has like an SOS button, but we don't really care about that. And it can have multiple sensors. For example, we have here motion detector sensor is one of the most basic types, most common. And this is something that you could potentially find in things like homes or something like that. It's intended for home usage, it's not for corporate usage. And the system has multiple functions. So either we can arm or disarm the system. Basically, when the system is armed and the motion detector detects motion, the system triggers alert, for example. It can send notification, SMS, or it can sound the siren or something like that. The system can be controlled via the keypad, but the keypad is locked. So if I try to, for example, press something, it will ask me for a password.
Please input password.
Yeah, so I cannot just arm or disarm it. I need to know the PIN code.
Right.
But I also have other ways to control it. This can be tags like this that people can wear on keychains, for example, and they just put it in.
System armed.
System arms, I put it in again.
System disarmed.
System
okay.
disarms. So this is very user intuitive. And the last step is something like this, which is like a remote control. And I can remotely lock it
System armed.
or unlock it.
System disarmed.
Okay.
So this is the basic principle. And I have 2 more devices. One device you probably already seen on this channel. This is cheaper version, but they basically function in the same way. So basically, just to demonstrate, when I'm locking it
System armed.
or unlocking it,
System disarmed.
there is basically one issue with this, is that my device captured those signals. From as I was locking it, the device got captured.
Okay.
I can arm it.
System armed.
Now the system is armed. Or I can also disarm it.
System disarmed.
So how exactly does that work? Does the orange stuff tell the remote what to do, or does it connect straight to
It
the...
basically sends the same signal as this one.
Okay.
So for example, when I want to arm it, it sends a very specific signal that tells this unit to arm itself. And what I basically did is I recorded the signal that it sent, and I just replayed the same signal to
Okay.
basically do the same action.
Wow.
And the issue is that the signal is always the same for arming and always the same for disarming. And basically this attack is called the replay attack, for those that would like to learn something more about this.
Do not try at home.
You can try it at home if you own these devices and on your own house,
Yeah.
but probably don't use it
Someone else's own.
somewhere else. And there's also this issue that we have like these tags, and they can also be used to control the alarm.
System armed.
So we can arm it
System
or
disarmed.
disarm it, basically just by putting the tag into it.
Okay.
And these tags can also be usually cloned. Now, how long do you think it takes to like clone such a tag?
10 seconds.
Okay, so we're gonna go on count of 3.
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
That's it.
what?
So it was like probably less than a second. If I would try to do it faster, I probably could.
Could you walk by someone holding a token and just
Definitely.
bypass?
It takes
Okay,
like
that's
half
scary.
a second maybe to just clone this. And these tokens are very common, for example, in gym environment or for some lockers,
Or companies?
swimming pools. Yeah, even companies. And the cheaper ones especially have this issue that they can be cloned. And that basically means that what I can do is I can use a device like this when I cloned it,
System armed.
and it recognizes it,
System disarmed.
because the device only checks basically the identifier of this tag. I learned the identifier of this tag,
Right.
and I just replayed the same
System armed.
tag,
System disarmed.
and it basically works. And now the issue is if you put this thing on your, for example, keys, you are in the bar or somewhere, you put it on a table, somebody just walks by, copies it in half a second, And basically any device can work in things like this. It can also be like smaller devices. These are relatively large,
Yeah.
but there are also very small devices that can also copy it. It also probably applies to what I said before, that this thing costs like 70 euros, give or take. If you want more sensors, it would probably be more expensive.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to protect your house that is worth probably thousands or probably more money in your assets, don't just rely on the cheapest things,
Yeah.
because there are issues that you should be aware of. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because it does its job well, but there are downsides, and you need to be aware of those downsides to fully understand the risks that are associated with this.
Wow.
And that's where we can help if you want our services.
Yeah, that's good advertising. I like it. Yeah, wow, damn it. So anything can be breached, you can get into anything basically if you tried hard enough.
Yeah, if you try hard enough, yes.
Which, in your opinion, is the most critical industry to test?
Critical. I mean,
Is it like governmental institutions? Is it
Okay, there
financial
are-
institutions? Is it schools? Is it, which ones are?
I mean, critical from a technical perspective, it can be these SCADA devices or these industrial devices, because if we are testing something, then the best case scenario, you have a testing environment, which is copy of the production environment, and you can test it. So if you made some kind of damage, then it's okay still.
Right.
But in case of this big SCADA network, SCADA devices, you almost never have a copy of this, because nobody will build you another refinery or something. So these are critical devices from the technical perspective.
Right.
And the other perspective, so financial institutions or someone who holds the most critical information or sensitive information about you or about the big number of people or something.
So health institutions,
absolutely.
hospitals and stuff would be in there as well.
I may add that basically any sector, we can call it, basically needs penetration testing. If it is a small company or a large company, usually if some vulnerability is found and exploited by an attacker, the company can go out of business, for example. If a bank would have some form of vulnerability that would allow an attacker to pull money out of someone else's bank account, the bank would lose trust of their clients, the clients would move away, and the bank would go bankrupt. So
Yeah.
such a things can basically cause businesses to get out of business. And some businesses are basically bound by laws or some regulations. And if such a thing happens, they may lose their authorization to operate or their license or something like that. So this may be liquidation for them, for example.
Yeah, that sounds very, very critical to me. A lot of people, or a lot of times, we now talk about AI, and I wonder, has it changed your job in the past few years that it's been so widely used? Is it changing ethical hacking and pen testing in any way?
For me, I would say basically yes. I use these tools, mostly LLMs or large language models, the things like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot.
Yeah.
I basically use them every day because they can be very helpful, but they can make mistakes. And then it's up to me to decide if the thing that it's trying to tell me is true or not. But many times it can help, because what we're dealing with, basically every single project is completely different. Every project can use completely different technologies, completely different setup. Even if the technologies are the same, there are different versions of the same product. And basically every single application is completely unique. And it's not possible for us to remember everything about every single version of every single possible application that is used. So we are either relying on Google. I mean, it sounds bad, but that's the
There's
truth.
a lot of stuff on Google, yeah.
That we basically have to be Googling things out. And this AI usually makes things a lot easier, because we can find information quicker and more reliable, and is helping us to find vulnerabilities. So I guess that is quite positive. But there are also other applications that can be called like AI-powered tools, for example. Usually, from my perspective, these are mostly like marketing buzzwords. and the tools usually are not very reliable.
Okay.
I think the LLMs are much better in this regard, that we can have more reliance on that than, for example, on fully automated tools that might execute a penetration test. In my opinion, for now, these don't make a lot of sense, or they still require the human being to go over the results, at which point the human can already do everything by himself, because he still needs to verify everything that the tool found. So there's not much point. The tools are improving. It will probably improve, but for now, these AI-powered tools like scanners or something like this, they are not as great as they could be.
Yeah. But you mentioned ChatGPT and such tools. What you do is fairly secretive, right?
Yeah.
So is it safe for you to use such open applications?
It is safe for general questions. Obviously,
Okay.
we cannot upload the source code of our client to ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Or something like this. That's not really possible.
Yeah.
But for general questions, if you ask, for example, if you have some question regarding open source application that's publicly available, there's really not a problem. Or we can ask general question about vulnerability or some very specific topic. If we don't, for example, mention the client, we don't include any client data or, for example, some private information, we obviously can't do that. But for generally specified questions, we can use these tools and quite okay, I think.
And in the future, do you reckon you'll use more of it?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I already use it every single day, so they are
Do you
very
also
much
use it?
helpful.
Yeah, I was
You do?
also maybe just a little less, but yeah.
So you are fans of this. It's not new technology. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, but this new developments in this field of technology.
It does help and it makes things faster, so
Yeah.
why not use it?
Yeah, of course. If you use it safely, like you
Yeah,
said.
but it's still important that it's ultimately up to us to decide if what it said is true or not.
Yeah.
That's where our expertise comes in, and the tools can make always issues. They can be not correct, and we need to be sure that we know about this, and
Yeah.
we need to still use our expertise. It's not like the tool is doing everything for us.
I mean, you must know what you want.
Yeah, you
and
can't
then-
just copy paste.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone wanting to do what you do?
Advice.
How do I get to be you?
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate advice from me is don't give up too early, because if we have some kind of newcomer to our company or to our department, it can take up to half a year to let them test in production, for example, to not shadow someone. So it can take a lot of time. And if you are one of these people who are watching these movies, hacking and access granted and so on, you can imagine it's not the same,
Yeah.
and you will see the hard work after it. So don't give up. And
Yeah, you have to continuously learn, right? Because
Yeah,
techniques change
absolutely,
and technology changes and clients change.
I would also maybe add that you should be curious and, for example, enthusiastic about technology in general. It does help. And basically, as I said, the hacking basically means someone that's enthusiastic about technology, wants to figure out how things work. So this should be a prerequisite. You should be able to play with technology, for example, or you should like it or enjoy it. But at the same time, you should have some, let's say, soft skills, because we are also dealing with customers.
Yeah.
And you must know how to communicate with customers. And also you should have realistic expectations, because really the typical day looks like you sit at the computer clicking and typing.
Yeah.
And it's not like you are typing really, really fast or something. You're just Googling stuff half a day and something like this. So have realistic expectations what the job actually includes.
Okay, interesting. And to conclude, this is a question that I ask everyone. What is your top 3 advice? You can do 3 each or 2, 1, whatever you feel. To stay
Okay.
safe.
to stay safe.
Online, offline, because you also do the offline. So
Okay.
how do I stay safe?
I mean, the first one should be use strong passwords. Doesn't really need to be 1,000 characters long and so
Right.
on. Just try to have strong one, and
At
you can
least
remember
12 characters, right?
It can be,
Yeah.
for example. Then for ordinary people, have your applications, mobile devices, and so on updated because of these well-known vulnerabilities and so on. Try to think about things before you do it. I mean, don't click on emails when you see something. I don't know on the first side.
Yeah.
Just thought about it and so
Stay
on.
vigilant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about you? Anything to add?
The first thing I would add is that the thinking before you do something is generally a good idea in all regards,
Yes.
not just in IT. So this is like a tip number one.
Yeah.
But realistically, for example, the strong password, I think that most people don't notice, or if I didn't know it, for example, is that you can use things like phrases. So it doesn't have to be like A2H7B. Password is like very hard to remember and it's very complex, but it can be a long phrase that is easy to remember. For example, big dog jumped over a fence. It's a very long password. It's very difficult to basically break. And
Don't
it's
use that
usually-
one, please.
yeah, and it's very easy to remember for many people. So this is also a way. Then another advice I would give is use multi-factor authentication. That's like your number one that can prevent a lot of issues, and it's also relatively easy to set up. So use like your authenticator app on mobile device or something like that.
Yeah.
If possible, don't use SMS-based codes, but it's still better than nothing. Basically, if you value any of your online accounts, be it the social media, well, banking applications force you to use second factor now. But if you value any online account that you have, always use multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
It can prevent a lot of issues and it's very easy to implement. So that's like the main thing. And maybe the last thing that I would add is just be generally safe. And if something looks too good to be true, it probably isn't true.
Yeah,
So
that's good
always
advice.
be, as you said, vigilant.
Yeah, that is very good advice. Yeah. I think that's very true in especially like the phishing line of work. When it looks too good, it's probably not true.
The last one maybe that I would think about is if something costs, if some security device costs small amount of money, is usually intended to secure small amount of your assets. So don't expect like very cheap systems to protect your whole company or something like this. So keep that in mind when you're trying to focus on security on a budget, because it might not always work.
If someone wants to learn more about cybersecurity and what you do, what are some of the resources that you would recommend?
But there is many bloggers and many articles about the specific type of technology or specific type of principles in cybersecurity. So it's not that hard if people want.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the way mainly how we learned these things. So
I would say that the YouTube is your best friend in this. There's a lot of tutorials, guides, overviews of basically what you can expect from this. Then there are specific websites. If you already have some technical knowledge, even some limited one, you can do things like Hack the Box, where you can basically test your knowledge against some simulated machines. You can try
That's cool.
out things in safe environment. So that's definitely good. There are also things from OWASP. Basically, they provide some vulnerable applications for you to play with. You can also read through their standards. They are basically used everywhere, so that's a very good starting point. So I would say, yeah, YouTube, check OWASP, check these like Hack the Box, Try Hack Me. Those are two good websites. And if you want, you can maybe pay for some courses if you want. You have things like Udemy or Offensive Security. Those are usually more expensive, but if somebody wants to go that route, it's also a possibility. So there's a lot of content.
There's a lot of content. Cool. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here today. This has been extremely eye-opening. And as you said, it's not the same as in the movies, but I still find it quite fascinating. So I learned a lot of new stuff. Thank you. I hope to see you again in the future.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. And for everyone watching or listening to us, thank you for being with us. This is the 10th episode that we've put out. The end of season 1. Next month, we're going to start season 2. You can look forward to a lot more content, a lot more guests, and a lot more interesting information. Thank you for watching. Again, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on all of our social media so you never miss any future content. And thank you again, and hope to see you next time.